Imagine, for a moment, that you're standing on the deck of an old-fashioned ship. The wooden planks are creaking beneath your feet as the wind howls through the rigging. The vast, empty ocean stretches out before you, an endless expanse of water that hides countless dangers beneath its surface. The life of a sailor was filled with such uncertainties. Every wave, every shift in the wind could spell disaster. To survive in such a perilous environment, sailors turned to rituals and superstitions, hoping to appease the unpredictable forces that govern their lives. You are so welcome back to Pinecone's Spooky Shorts, brought to you by Rowan and Pine. I'm your host Neve, and this time we're diving into the mysterious and often unsettling world of maritime superstitions. As an aside, this episode is a companion to our main feed episode on mermaids, so be sure to give that a listen as well. So let's get into the superstitions. In the midst of all this fear and uncertainty, sailors clung to anything that might bring them good fortune. One of the most steadfast beliefs was in the power of tattoos. You can picture a sailor, weathered by years at sea, standing in a dimly lit tattoo parlour. He might choose to have a rooster and a pig inked onto his feet. There was a belief that these creatures, often seen surviving shipwrecks in their wooden crates, would guide him safely to shore should the worst happen. In stark difference, there's the call, which made a rare and eerie charm. Before setting sail, some sailors would go to great lengths to purchase a newborn's caul, which is the delicate membrane said to prevent drowning. This tiny, almost ghostly object, thought to hold the power to save lives in the face of the ocean's wrath, was highly sought after and carried with them on their voyage. You have a lucky number, right? Numbers, too, played a role in calming sailors' fears. The sea is a place where logic often fails. A storm can just rise out of nowhere, and a ship can vanish without a trace. In such a world, setting fishing nets in odd numbers offered some semblance of control, anchored in the belief that the sea would favour those who respected its mysterious rules. Sailors didn't just rely on charms, objects, numbers. They sometimes engaged in rituals as bizarre as they were desperate. Scottish fishermen, for instance, would throw one of their own overboard at the start of a fishing season, only to haul him back on deck. This act, strange as it sounds, was a plea to the sea spirits, a way to ensure the waters would be generous and the catch plentiful. But for every charm or ritual that promised safety, there were countless others that warned of doom. To sailors, the sea was a living entity, capricious and vengeful. Renaming a boat, for instance, was one of the most feared acts. The original name was believed to be intertwined with the ship's spirit, and to change it without a proper denaming ceremony was to anger the sea itself. Without the careful rituals, it was said the ship would be cursed and its fate sealed. Blood, to all of us, the essence of life, was a harbinger of bad luck. As the crew prepared to set off, they would be wary of starting the fishing season without first shedding some blood, whether through a fight or an accident. This macabre belief stemmed from the idea that the sea demanded a sacrifice, and that without it, disaster would surely follow. Even the loss of a hat overboard carried ominous weight. Picture a sailor standing on deck, the wind tugging at his hat until it's whisked away into the waves. To those on board, this simple act was an omen, a warning that their journey would be long and filled with hardships the sea holding them in its grip far longer than intended. Personal grooming, something so ordinary on land, took on a different meaning at sea. Trimming nails, cutting hair, or shaving a beard were seen as acts that could disturb the delicate balance between man and ocean, inviting misfortune onto the ship. In a world where even the smallest actions could tip the scales of fate, sailors had to be ever vigilant. Then there were eggshells, seemingly insignificant but filled with dark potential. After eating, sailors would meticulously break their eggshells into tiny pieces, fearing that, if left intact, witches might use them as boats to sail to the ship and bring chaos and disaster in their wake. Even human interactions were fraught with potential danger. Red-headed individuals were considered bad omens by sailors. If a sailor encountered a redhead on their way to board a ship, they had to speak first before the redhead could utter a word, to prevent bad luck from following them onto the vessel. And let's not forget the fear of flat-footed people. Believed to bring bad luck, they were avoided at all costs. It's pretty hard to imagine a sailor nervous, superstitious, encountering someone with flat feet before boarding his ship, his mind immediately filled with dread, certain his journey was now doomed. Of course, it wouldn't be an old-timey superstition without women being targeted. Women were seen as a double-edged sword on board a ship. They were believed to distract the crew and anger the sea, leading to treacherous conditions. Yet, in a weird twist, naked women, of course, were thought to calm the sea, a belief reflected in the many bare-breasted figureheads that adorned the bows of ships, silent pleas for mercy from the volatile ocean. Certain days didn't escape suspicion. They were seen as too dangerous to sail. For example, Thursdays associated with the god of storms, Thor, and Friday, the day of Jesus' execution, were both considered inauspicious. And some dates were seen as so cursed that no sailor would dare to set off, such as the first Monday in April, the day Cain killed Abel, the second Monday in August, the day Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed, and December 31st, the day Judas Iscariot hanged himself. And finally, even the innocent act of whistling on board was an act of peril. To whistle into the wind was said to invite a storm, a careless act that could bring down the fury of the elements upon the ship. And certain words like drown or saying goodbye were strictly forbidden, believed to attract the very misfortunes they described. These superstitions, strange and varied as they are, give us a glimpse into the lives of sailors in times gone by who lived in constant fear of the sea's wrath. For them, these beliefs weren't just old wives' tales, they were a guide to navigating the world where every wave, every gust of wind could spell doom. Thank you for coming along with me on this eerie voyage into the superstitions that haunted sailors' lives. Remember to check out that main feed episode on mermaids for more tales from the deep. Until next time, may your sails be full and your superstitions well heeded.
Thanks for listening, and fuck yeah, folklore.
Fuck yeah, folklore.